I think my dad is a boyfriend. How do I support him? And by the way, you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just tap on our profile. And this is to answer the question of how do you support your queer family and friends?
Dude, I got it. You ready?
Okay, I'm worried.
Hey, Dad. I love you so much. I love how much of a dad you are to me. I really wished that I had another dad in my life.
You're such a good dad. I wish I could have 2 of ya. So, hi, bisexual. I'm your son, says. My mom died of COVID in summer 2020. Oh, and it really messed my dad up, 38 male. He was still working and taking care of me, but that was pretty much it. That's really hard. He wasn't doing anything he used to like to do. And obviously he was busier because he had to take care of me all by himself. And he couldn't go out because of COVID, but still. Like, he used to like hockey and weird old action movies, but he stopped watching all of that stuff. That's really hard also because they were only 38. That's really hard.
John's age.
I, 15 male, was also super depressed, obviously. But after a while, I started doing fun stuff for fun again, like video games and hanging out with my friends and stuff,
Nice.
but he didn't. And when I was a kid, I didn't really think about it. But now that I'm older, I was worrying about him. Obviously, losing someone at any time is really hard, but definitely losing someone at 38. One, as a 15-year-old, you know, when you're going through high school, and you expect to have both your parents there, and losing them out of the blue is really, really hard. He started doing more stuff and being less sad all the time last summer. Then in October, he started doing this community service thing that picks up trash in different neighborhoods. And then he met this guy, Peter. Fake name, I think he's 40-ish. And I think they're dating. They hang out at least twice a week, sometimes more. I stay at school until 8 3 times a week for robotics club, and my dad sees Peter at least one of those days every week. My dad used to talk about him all the time. He was always like, Peter said, or I was talking to Peter. And he doesn't talk about him that much anymore, but they text a lot, and my dad's always smiling at his phone. Cute.
Whoa.
And he started dressing nicer and getting his hair cut more often and stuff. And there's other stuff too. I just got a vibe from them. So I was like 90% sure they were dating, but thought maybe my dad was just excited to have a friend again. He was probably lonely, I guess, but now it's Ramadan and Peter, who isn't even Muslim, has stopped by a few times before sunrise to bring my dad food for each suhoor. And friends don't cook for each other at stupid o'clock in the morning. They must be dating. I guess I technically still don't know if they're dating, but like, they're definitely dating, lol. Oh yeah, if he's waking up at like 5 a.m. Well, he's probably waking up really early to cook it and then bring it to OP's dad. That's not friend behavior.
Dang, dude. I'm gonna be real. I had a moment like this with my buddy Rex.
Where he was making you food at 5 in the morning?
Well, we made each other breakfast and like spaghetti here and there, and I was always at his house. I did text him all the time. And we were always hanging out, and like we always had a good time at his house, like most of the time. And then like sometimes I feel like I went through a breakup because I'm not with him.
No, I think that you can have very strong bonds with your friends, but these guys are definitely dating.
Okay.
So now I want to know how to get him to feel okay telling me. My dad never said he was bi. I don't know if he just didn't tell people or if Peter's the first guy he liked. He and my mom got together when he was 19, so he didn't have a ton of time to date guys before now. And I know he's okay with LGBT people. If I were gay, I wouldn't be afraid of telling him at all, but he was a teenager in the early 2000s when things were different, so maybe he's ashamed. There are some gay people at our mosque, and it's cool, but I know some Muslims don't like gay people. I don't know what the mosque he went to as a kid was like. So maybe it's like he doesn't think it's okay for him to be bi, just other people. I don't know. And I also feel kind of weird about it, which isn't cool of me, I know, but I don't know. I mean, I think OP is taking this very maturely, especially because they are a 15-year-old who lost their mother. I think that it's completely normal for a teenager to feel mixed emotions about it.
Yeah, you need to
I don't
get
think
time
that
to
makes
grieve.
I don't think that makes you a bad person. He took his wedding ring off a few months ago, which is part of why I started thinking he and Peter were dating. And I know my mom is dead and my dad's not actually that old, so it's not fair to think he can't ever date anyone else or get married again. And I want him to be happy and stuff, but it's also like he's supposed to be married to my mom, you know? Peter's okay, but he's not my mom. And not gonna lie, it's kind of weird that he's dating a man who isn't Muslim. I'm barely Muslim now. I pray with my dad, but I don't think I really believe anymore, and I'm not really fasting. But being Muslim is important to my dad. What if dating someone who isn't Muslim makes him stop being Muslim too? But also, it might be weird if he dated a Muslim woman because then it'd be like a replacement for mom. So how do I support my dad and make him feel like it's okay to come out? And how do I deal with my own crap and not make him feel bad? I think ideally you should find a therapist if your, if you're able to, and you're able to afford that. I think talking to someone else about these feelings is really helpful. I don't think that Opie's dad has done anything wrong. Like, it doesn't seem like it's a fast time to move on. But I think for a kid, it does. It's always got to feel fast.
Because it's like you're placing mom.
Georgia Cooper says, let yourself feel things without guilt or shame. Opie's dad is going through something unimaginable. Dub Sam 2023 says, this post alone shows that both your parents did a great job in raising you. I'm sorry for the loss of your mom. You're a wonderful, empathetic son. Honestly, I think I would make him comfortable talking about dating. Mention that you noticed that he took his ring off and go from there. If he's ready to share it with you, great. If not, give him time, which I think that's a good answer. It's absolutely okay to feel the way you feel about your dad being married to your mom. Nobody will ever take your place. Loving somebody new does not take away from the love that one still has for the person that was lost. The love that your dad has for your mom doesn't get smaller when there's new love for a new person. Love only adds. It doesn't take away. That's the beauty of it. As for Peter not being Muslim, that's something that they have to work out among themselves. And Avita Donamart says, bless you, you're a good human and a wonderful son. Just give him a hug and tell him I love you just the way you are. And if you love someone, I will try my best to love him too. He will understand. You're amazing. And there is an update, but this is really sweet so far.
Yeah, that's very encouraging.
This actually happened like 2 weeks ago, but I don't need advice, I don't think. So I didn't post anything. But then I remembered some of you seem kind of invested in my dad's love life. So here we go. I was thinking a lot about everything with my dad and how to talk to him and how to deal with the way I feel about everything without making my dad feel bad or like I'm the main character and he has to do what I want or anything. And I guess I was acting weird because my dad asked me if I was okay. And I said that he wasn't wearing his wedding ring anymore. So he asked me if that upset me and I said, kinda, because it wasn't like he just took it off when mom died and he wasn't married anymore. He kept wearing it then. But then he took it off now, so he feels different now, I guess. And I was afraid he didn't care anymore because I don't want him to be sad all the time anymore. But I do kind of want him to still be a little sad maybe, which I know isn't cool of me, but I am still a little sad. I think that it's okay to always be a little bit sad about losing someone that you love. I think the pain gets, easier to manage as time goes on, but I don't think it ever goes away because I don't think your love ever goes away for that person. Then my dad got quiet for a while and then he apologized that he'd made me feel like he didn't care about my mom anymore and that he'd been handling things badly since she died. He said that he still loves my mom and everything, but that he loved her different now. And he has been acting like it was the same, which is why he was sad all the time. But then he accepted that even though he still loved her and she was still his wife, it was different. And he felt better, but then looking at his wedding ring made him really upset. I don't know, he explained it really well, but I think it sounds dumb the way I wrote. But it made sense when he said it because she's still my mom and I still love her, but obviously she's not my mom the way she was when she was there all the time. Then he asked me if I wanted their wedding rings. He said he'd been holding on to my mom's for me when I got older, and he figured I was old enough now to be responsible with it and not lose it. So we got a chain for me to put them on, and I wore both their wedding rings on my neck. Anyway, since we were talking about it, I wanted to say something about how my dad is dating Peter. I know some of you said that maybe they were just friends, but if you were in my house and you saw the way my dad talks about him, you would not think that. I haven't spent a lot of time with Peter or anything, but I have been around him and my dad together, and they are not just friends, LOL. So I told my dad that I wouldn't be mad or upset if he dated someone else. It would be okay. He shouldn't be alone forever, and he said it meant a lot that I said that. Then I said that Peter seems cool. This is so sweet. And my dad got all awkward, not in a you're so wrong way, in a embarrassed to talk about my boyfriend way. And it was funny for a bit, but then I kind of felt bad. So I said, Peter's old man sweaters aren't cool, but that at least they're better than my dad's dumb polo shirts. Which I said mostly to change the vibe, but also because it's true. And my dad called me a brat, then hugged me and said I was a good kid, and we moved on.
Aww.
Their relationship is really sweet.
That's cute.
I love how they're able to communicate, and I think that OP's got a really good support system.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about it, I guess, but I know they're dating, and he knows I know they're dating, and I'm cool with it. And I still feel a little weird about my dad dating someone who isn't mom, but I feel better about it. Not sure if anyone is reading this, but I hope you are, and I hope you liked it. LOL. And top comments to finish this story off. Starchild says, "This is such a lovely update, and I'm so glad that you got the chance to talk to your dad about some of your feelings. It is totally fine that part of you almost wanted your dad to be sad and that you still feel weird losing your mother, or in your dad's case, losing your wife. At a young age is about as big a topic as it gets. And there isn't any right or wrong way to feel. Please keep engaging with your dad about how you feel about your shared loss. It sounds like you and he have a wonderfully supportive relationship, and I'm sure he wants to hear how you feel, even if it sounds like he might be a little uncomfortable talking about how he feels. Wishing you all the best." And this is to answer the question of how do you support your queer friends and family, and I think OP did a really great job of it. Yeah, I think OP one, recognized his own kind of complicated feelings and kind of looked at those before coming to his dad.
Very mature to check yourself before bringing it forward.
All right, let's get into the next one. "I told my son his boyfriend isn't allowed to sleep over. Now he's threatening to move out." And this is to answer the question of how do you show support for queer friends and family. So Actual Pop 4382 says, "I, 34 female, recently found out my son, 12 male, has been secretly dating his best friend, also 12 male, since year 5, 9 to 10 years old." They started young, man.
Very young.
That's like a long relationship for a 9 to 10-year-old.
Yeah. My first one, does kindergarten count?
Well, I guess so.
All the girls in elementary school was my girlfriend. They all took turns. Doesn't count?
No,
okay.
yeah.
Well, the longest relationship I've been in is when I was in 7th grade. It was like a year and a half.
That's impressive. My son Harley just finished his year of high school last Wednesday and came out.
High school at 12?
They might be not in America. And came out to me and his dad last Friday. Now, I am supportive of Harley being whoever he thinks he might be. I realize this is an age of experimentation and doesn't automatically mean he's gay. He may just be trying out this identity. Harley has been best friends with his boyfriend since he was in year 1, 5 to 6 years old. Whoa.
Way back.
Damn. Okay, and you still think that they're not dating? And here's where my issue is. If I were to treat this as a real relationship, I would say no to Harley sharing a room with a girl. But since Harley and Luke have been friends for so long, they've had plenty of sleepovers where they sleep in the same bed in the same room. Something that, of course, I never had an issue with before because I didn't know my son was experimenting with his identity. However, now that I know this, I have become very uncomfortable with Luke staying overnight. And so I have banned Luke from staying overnight. Harley was obviously incredibly upset with this, but sometimes I feel as a parent you have to make decisions that do put you as a bad guy in your children's eyes to keep them safe. And frankly, I'm uncomfortable with my son having spicy sleep at his young age. I don't know why she's assuming that they are having spicy sleep. I'm hoping that what she means is if I treated it because they're so young and not because they're gay, because it feels a little homophobic the way she's talking about this. Muriel Strasser says, if she's worried about spicy sleep, have them sleep in different rooms. Yeah, there are so many different solutions than just like banning him from sleepovers altogether. Nikki Bordeaux says, I feel like respecting the relationship as if it were hetero is good, but also I don't think she's being homophobic. The real relationship thing might be about age. That's what I'm thinking. I think it could be about that. I'm just saying if it isn't, then it's a little homophobic. Now, this is where the big problem comes in. Harley's dad, George, says I'm being way overdramatic. When I mentioned my concerns about sex, he said if they want to have spicy sleep, banning them sharing a room isn't going to stop it. But from my perspective, no, it may not eliminate it, but it does help prevent it. He said it wouldn't matter anyway because if they had wanted to experiment spicy sleep wise, they probably would have done it considering they had sleepovers almost every weekend. Which I think is a weird thing to say because they're only 12. He also asked if it ever stopped us when we were teens, which I don't get because it's a completely different world now. And just because we did something irresponsible doesn't mean I want to roll over and make it easy for my children to make the same mistake.
He's not a teenager yet, and I love that he's bringing up whenever you guys were teenagers.
Yeah, the dad has kind of got like a weird idea of this too. I mean, they're literally 12. I think they're both like thinking about, like both parents are thinking about spicy sleep a lot, and this 12-year-old's probably not thinking about it at all.
Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like they're probably not thinking about it at all.
I mean, I don't know.
They could be.
A lot of kids are introduced to porn at a young age.
That's true. But I think also it is probably a little bit different when, you know, growing up like as a queer person and not maybe having access to that. Angelina Targaryen says they both need to chill out. The parents are in opposite sides of the spectrum and the right answer is in the middle. I think I agree with you, Angelina. I think maybe the solution here is providing education to your children. And maybe, you know, you have a sleepover, but you have to be in separate rooms.
I think this sounds like a good time for that.
All right, but let's keep going. Let's figure more of this story out. Though I have put my foot down to both of them, told George to stop trying to enforce rules in my home and that Luke will not sleep over, and anytime he is over, the door must remain open. George claims he wasn't trying to enforce any rules for my home, though he was clearly trying to pressure me. George says he will not have those rules at his home. Legally, we have split custody of Harley, though I only have weekends and George weekdays. Informally, though, we haven't stuck to that agreement in years and just do 1 week splits. Harley stays with me for a week, then George for a week. I think it's irresponsible for George not to back me on this issue as it causes a non-united front. I believe he should adopt my rules. But of course, Harley is claiming I've ruined his summer holiday since I won't allow Luke over, and they already planned all of these gaming nights. Harley is now saying he will stay with his dad for the entire summer if I don't change my mind, and George has told me he won't force Harley to come and stay with me any more than the legal minimum in our agreement unless Harley wants to do so. Am I being unreasonable here? I honestly don't see how I could be in the wrong. This is the same as I would do if Harley had a real relationship, so I feel like George is unfairly pushing this on me. Why is she using the term real relationship? If it was just about the age, I feel like she wouldn't say a real relationship.
Would you let your 12-year-old have their partner over for sleepover?
I think that if they were friends for a really long time and I knew this kid, I think maybe I'd be like, hey, let's do separate rooms. But there is an update, so let's get into it. Thank you, everyone, for your advice regarding my son. I've read most of the comments and honestly was pretty shocked by the fact that so many trolls found their way onto my post. Just to clarify a few things, I am not homophobic in any way whatsoever. I don't know if you can say that. I have spoken to Harley and asked him if he thinks I'm homophobic, and he said no. Like,
yeah, ask
hey, son, do you think I'm homophobic? And he's like, no.
Do you think I'm homophobic?
He's like, no, can my boyfriend sleep over? So there, you can all stop saying that now. Secondly, I read most of the genuine advice, and it all seemed to agree with what I was saying about protecting my son from himself and making mistakes around spicy sleep. So I have decided to stick to my guns and keep my rules, as well as starting the proceedings to take my ex back to court to get the custody agreement changed to reflect what we have now. As my ex says, he will not force Harley into staying with me any more than the mandated amount if that is not Harley's choice, which, in my opinion, is unfair since that is not how we've been sharing custody for years now. Sadly, this may take a while. I was considering showing my ex the post I made to make him realize that he was in the wrong for essentially allowing Harley the facilities to have spicy sleep, but I have decided that I will screenshot and send over selected comments so he doesn't see the trolls that seem to derail the point of the post by bringing up things that aren't even relevant. It's frustrating when I'm trying to get genuine advice and I have to wade through hundreds of irrelevant comments. I support Harley being gay if that's how he chooses to identify at the moment. I support him being in a preteen relationship. I just don't think he should be having spicy sleep, which I agree with. Scooter Kid says there is still a decent chance they aren't thinking of anything spicy sleep wise, and she's blowing it out of proportion. Yeah, that is my thinking. I do understand her worries, though. I think that is true for a lot of parents. That is also the end of the story, by the way,
okay.
Which is why a lot of parents won't let you have like mixed gender sleepover, like co-ed sleepovers and stuff. I think it seems like people are pretty mixed in the comments, though. I don't think either opinion is necessarily wrong. I think there are ways that you can go about it to make sure that your child is being safe.
Yeah.
And not doing anything that they're not ready for. I think that I think protecting your children is important.
Oh, dude, my mom found out that I've had spicy sleep before.
What?
Okay, story time. My brother's moving out of his apartment in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And my mom went to go help her.
Yeah.
And she was vacuuming under my bed, and there was like half of a condom thing there.
Half of a condom?
Or like not half of a condom, but like the peeling of like a Trojan.
Yeah.
You know how the packaging and everything. Well, so one of it was there, and she was vacuuming in there, and she had to leave. She's like, I can't do this anymore. And my dad like took a picture of it and sent it, and he's like, oh no, mom found this. Sorry, son. And I was like, no, because my mom used to work at a pregnancy center.
Yeah.
For my sexual education.
Well, I mean, like at least you're using condoms.
Well, no. She was like, don't ever have it, because
yeah.
she's like helped with these young mothers, and was like, oh no, like don't do it. She gave me. Did you hear about the game of sex?
No.
Okay, so she had this like pamphlet, a briefcase of pamphlets of like sexual diseases you can get, and one of those was the game of sex, and basically like you had dice and a thing, and if you rolled like a 4, you had sex for the first time, but the condom was broke.
Oh my god!
And she's pregnant, and then if you rolled like a 3, you get chlamydia. It's just so bad.
Did you have like good sex education? Because my sex education was just learning about STDs, and that's it.
My
like
mom
in
didn't
school.
want the school to teach me. She wanted to teach me because she thought that a lot of the statistics were wrong and everything like that. Which I mean that's her thoughts on that. But she believes in waiting till marriage.
Yeah, for sure. But like, did you get education on it, or
one time she forgot to sign something, and I got school education, and she was like, this is wrong, you shouldn't be thinking about this. But I'm like, oh, that's what you do with the banana. That's crazy.
Yeah. See, I didn't get any of that.
Really?
No.
Oh, because you went to Catholic school.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school from K till I was 18. So I literally just got, these are the STDs that you will get, and that's it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kristen Foil Hat says, trolls, selective comments, hundreds of irrelevant comments. If he wants to be gay at the moment. Totally not homophobic at all. Totally. Yeah, I think the mom is probably a little bit homophobic, but it seems like she is still, for the most part, supportive of her son. I think she has a lot to learn, and hopefully she does that. She educates herself on those, topics as her son grows. But that is the end of this story. So let's get into the next one. I think my son is going to come out to me. How do I make sure it's perfect? And by the way, you can join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just tap our profile. So Throwaway, hi gay, I'm dad, says, my son is gay. I knew when he was 5.
The way he walks and talks, I knew from when he was 5.
My wife claims she knew when he was 4.
Whoa, is this a competition?
We're fairly competitive with each other.
Oh, no way! How?
So I think she's trying to beat me. My family is leaning towards anti-LGBT. They don't hate them, but they like to comment on it. My wife's family doesn't really care. They're pretty accepting of anyone as long as you respect others. My son has tried his best to hide the whole gay thing. It's worked pretty well so far. He's had a few girlfriends and took his girlfriend at the time to prom.
At 5? Oh. Sorry. I thought he was still 5 right now.
No, he's no longer 5. We thought he might be bi, but he never got the same look on his face when he looked at a cute guy versus a cute girl. Him and his friend Dakota have been hanging out a lot recently. I think they're dating, but it's hard to tell. In the weeks leading up to June, my son has been acting stranger, and so far this month, he's still acting odd. I'm thinking with it being Pride Month, he wants to come out. I assume he's afraid to tell me because he thinks I have the same views as my family. I don't want to steal his moment and tell him I know, but I can tell something is wrong. I asked him if he wanted to go out for lunch later this week, and he turned me down. Do I just wait for him to tell me, or am I supposed to tell him I know? Should I make a joke about the fact that it's been obvious to me for the past 10 plus years, or is this a serious thing? I only want what's best for him, and if he is dating Dakota, he's doing pretty well for himself. And there are some comments and an update. I think that OP needs to, hopefully this is what they've been doing all his life, but I think OP needs to make it very clear that they're supportive of like queer people. I think that they have to just be like, oh my God, hey son, let's watch this new show, Heartstopper. I love this show.
Hey, there's a parade down the street.
Yeah, there's a parade. Do you want to check it out? I have a friend at work who's going. Yep. And just like be really intentional about, I don't know, just like start being really intentional
Put it outside
about
your house.
Yeah, about showing your support for the LGBT community. Maybe don't say I knew all this whole time. I think you could bring that up later, but I think when your kid comes out to you just saying like, thank you for telling me, I appreciate you being brave. And I think also a lot of times parents that, or just like in general, people who are maybe say that they are outwardly accepting will sometimes make comments and stuff or make jokes where like queer people are the butt of the joke and you don't even notice yourself doing it. And I think just being really aware and making sure that you're not doing that and that you are being just as supportive as you can. Comments though. Engineering Dry says, given that it's Pride Month, take the opportunity to show your son your acceptance and allyship by commenting positively on how great it is when people find love no matter their genders. Love is love. Mention how you don't understand how any parent could disown their kid for being gay, since there's nothing wrong with loving someone else. Forfist74 says, and maybe mention a gay coworker and how cute he and his husband look on their wedding pictures. I wouldn't tell him outright that you know, because that's kind of taking away his coming out and stealing his thunder. Just make it as easy as possible by showing him that you're 100% supportive. Also, I would severely shut down your family whenever someone uses homosexuality as a slur. Every time you allow that to happen, it cuts a piece out of your son. Do you know Suzanne Brockman? She writes romance novels about Navy SEALs. Very hot. And at some point started adding gay characters and gay romantic subplots to her books. She said she knew her son was gay from the age of 5 too, and she sat down all her friends and told them that she never again wanted to hear any gay slur anywhere close to her family. And any friend who couldn't stick to that was welcome to leave forever. She didn't want her son to ever feel bad about himself. And when he came out to her as a teenager, she just said, I know that, I love you, I'll always love you, gave him a hug and a kiss, and then asked, where did you put your dirty socks? Just let him feel completely accepted and like it was the most normal thing in the world. That is what you should aim for. But there is an update. So let's get into it. The evening I posted, I spent a few hours reading and rereading the comments. I was trying to work up the courage to have the conversation with my son. Not because I was afraid of the answer, but scared I was going to say something wrong and damage our relationship. A lot of you gave me the courage to start a conversation. I decided it needed to happen that night or else I'd lose my nerve. As soon as I knocked on his door, my mind went blank. I asked him if anything was wrong and if he wanted to talk at all. I said I had noticed him acting differently over the past few weeks and wanted to make sure everything was all right. He said he was feeling a bit sick recently, and that was probably what I noticed. I didn't want to push too hard, but a lot of people said I needed to make sure he knows how I feel. I told him that if anything was wrong, I would hope he would talk to his mom and I. We love him and just want what's best for him. The Sunday after I posted was Father's Day. We did a family dinner, just the wife and kids. We did cake and presents, and after opening the gifts, I told the kids I love them. They are the best gifts a dad could ask for, and I'm so proud to be their dad. I told them I don't say it enough, but I want to make sure they know. This is really sweet. After dinner, my son came downstairs and asked if we could talk. He looked visibly nervous, and his voice was shaking. He stumbled over his words before saying that he's gay. Ever since our daughter, his older sister, was born, my wife would say that she loved the kids so much she just wanted to squish them. My son started saying it back before hugging us as tightly as he could. It became a bit of a tradition that the tighter you hugged, the more you loved. When he told us he's gay, my wife and I nearly killed him with how tightly we squeezed him. We told him we loved him and we're proud to be his parents. That's so sweet. We ended up talking for about 2 hours about everything that's going on in his life. Him and Dakota have been seeing each other for a few months. In the middle of May, Dakota said that he loved him. My son wasn't ready to say it back, and Dakota didn't pressure him. He wanted us to know about Dakota before admitting that he's in love as well. He told us that Dakota was kicked out at 17 after he came out. When Dakota came out, he thought that they would be supportive, but they weren't. They kicked him out on graduation day, and he's been on his own since. He offered my son the spare room just in case the worst happened, and we did kick him out. Oh. We invited Dakota over for dinner to get to know him a bit better. He's a great guy and isn't afraid to help out. My son is really lucky to be dating him. My son is much happier version of his normal self. And my daughter's a bit upset that her brother found a boyfriend before she did. obviously she isn't serious. She really likes Dakota as well. Thank you again for all the help and advice. I'm glad I was given the push to check in with him. Hopefully other parents can learn from my mistakes and I think this is definitely an excellent way of showing your support for your, and obviously OP did show support in a very real way that made his son feel comfortable to enough to come out to him. But I think this is a lesson for, OP even said it. I think that this is a lesson in that even if you are supportive of the queer community, you have to be very open about that, especially when you're parenting people or parenting kids, and just making sure that you are being loud about that support from day one so that your kids know that they will always be supported. But this is the end of that story. And again, this is to answer the question of how do you show support for your queer friends and family. And I think just making sure that you are not making jokes about the queer community, that you are expressing your support and allyship from day one, and that you are calling out the people around you. Because I think also a lot of people are somewhat lenient when they hear people making jokes about queer people. And they're like, oh, I don't want to make this awkward or something. But I think that is also an important part of showing that you are an ally.